Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tidbits on Business and Finance with me. After the devastating second COVID wave and its widespread fatalities in India subsided from June onwards, the Indian economy eagerly opened up and was expected to catch good speed by Diwali. The pent-up demand, the festival demand, and the sheer urge to resume normal living were expected to be the combined drivers of mega Diwali spending by all segments of Indian society, despite the elevated prices, the rising inflation. The Diwali spending did touch a new high of sorts, but only for essential items, with the general consumer staying away from spending on non-essential goods for sheer want of savings, want of income, and want of confidence. This essentially meant that the spending on non-essential items and the consumer impulse to buy discretionary items was restricted only to the rich segments of Indian society, showing a widening gap and a widening inequality in terms of income and spending in the Indian economy, in the Indian society. The Diwali festivities and spending showed that at best, a K-shaped recovery had set into the Indian economy, with one segment blossoming and growing upwards and the other struggling and going downwards. The top 10% of the Indian population, which is the rich elite, are earning and splurging, while the bottom 50% are not, on account of lack of income, lack of savings, and as we said, also lack of confidence in what is their economic situation going to be. That has been the case with big companies also, whose sales, whose profits and cash flows expanded despite the pandemic, while those of the small ones contracted on all fronts, sales, profits and cash flows. The big ones made big profits, they had big cash flows and are today sitting on big treasuries, unwilling to invest in new capacity, while the small ones are jobless, struggling to survive, and they are closed amidst eroded savings. On the basis of the burgeoning cash flows of the big and the rich ones and their spending, the government has now been seeking to build a narrative of growth and to promote a feel-good factor, of course ignoring the hardships that the struggling small sector, the struggling informal sector continues to face. This was the subject of a well-researched article in the Mint by the eminent author Vivek Kaul to see whether it is an all-round sustained revival taking place as the government wants us to believe, or is it just a small part of the population, which is the rich segment, which is doing well, which is in line with the K segment theory, which is that segment is looking upwards and the other segment is looking downwards. At the very outset, the article mentions the data that shows an ongoing revival in the Indian economy. The data that it points out is on a number of fronts. It says, and it refers to the sharp jump in the gross tax collections during April to September of the current financial year, which shows that some recovery is taking place. It then mentions the rising exports, which crossed a monthly figure of $30 billion for the sixth consecutive month in September 2021. It then points out to the domestic tractor sales, which does a new high of sale of 440,830 units in the first half of the current financial year. It then points out to the stock market prices, which have been rising and people are feeling richer. The vaccination numbers, it says, are rising. The economy is opening up such that retail sales will do well according to these emerging numbers. It then points out that during quarter 2 of the current financial year on a year-to-year basis, sales of air conditioners increased by 20%. Those of the refrigerators went up by about 5%, and credit card spending shot up by 59% during this period on a year-to-year basis. It points out then that airports are full and the hotels are packed, showing the resumption of business and leisure travel in India. The article then quotes K.K. Mistry, the vice chairman of HDFC, who says that people are feeling richer and more confident because their investments in the stock markets have grown and they are therefore looking to improve the quality of their lives by buying bigger and better homes, according to him. But then, in order to give a balanced perspective and a reality check, The author also then quotes the British economist Joan Robinson to say, and he says that the frustrating thing about India is that whatever you can rightly say about India, even the opposite is true. Thus, while there are signs of a revival in the economy, there are also signs that a large section of the Indian population is not quite doing well, which is that line in the K, which is looking downwards. It points out that two-wheelers, which happen to be one of the most expensive, yet a basic item for the middle class, for the lower middle class, and these are bought by them. Despite that, two-wheeler sales remain at a decade low, according to his data. He points out that while 6.52 million two-wheelers were sold between April to September 2021, the figure during the same period was higher at 6.55 million units. Thus, even after a decade, the two-wheeler sales in India have actually fallen. He then says that the growth in new home loans given has been decelerating. It fell from 1.37 lakh crores in the year ended August 2018 to 1.18 lakh crores in the year ended August 2019, falling further to 1.12 lakh crores in the year ended August 2020, and has just marginally recovered to about 1.24 lakh crores in the year ended August 2021. And the important issue here is that the share of priority housing loans which are given for affordable housing to the middle class has been falling. The banks have largely disbursed non-priority housing loans in the last year, and that has been given to fund purchase of large and luxury houses by the rich. It is further said in this article that loans against gold jewelry, which are the last resort for any middle-class household, they've shot up by 66% in the year ended August 2021. It then points out to a recent survey by the National Restaurant Association, which says that about 25% of restaurants in India may have shut down permanently. And because of that, about 230,000 jobs have been impacted. The demand for jobs provided under the Manrega scheme has shot up. And that is because urban workers have gone back to the villages, possibly because units in the urban areas have downsized or they have closed down. And hence, the jobs have been lost. The labor force, he then says, as a percentage of population stands at 37.88% today, as against 40.48% in the pre-pandemic month of February 2020, meaning that many are simply not looking out for jobs today because of fewer jobs in urban as well as in rural India. It is thus evident that a large section of the Indian population has not benefited from the incipient growth which is reflected in their income, in their spending patterns, and also in their confidence, which today remains at an all-time low as per consistent RBI surveys. The author says that what the economist Rathin Roy had said in May 2019 is happening now as well, which is economic growth in India has been driven by catering to the demand of the top 100 million of the population, which explains the present improvement in economic indicators like sales of air conditioners and tractors, upmarket housing, and higher tax collections of the government. He also quotes Neelkant Mishra of Credit Suisse, a member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Committee Council, who says that it is the rich who are spending, which he deems is important because the spending by the top 10% of India's households equals to the spending by the bottom half of India. The reality, however, is that the bottom half of the Indian population is just unable to spend. Where is the income? Where are the jobs? Where is the livelihood? And where is the money to spend? The larger picture of revival of growth evident in the spending patterns in the Diwali season is something like this. The first, the shrinking middle class with depleted savings and income restricted its expenditure to essential items only, which is those that are needed for basic survival even during the festival time. That will not trigger durable and rapid growth which we badly need in India. The second emerging picture is that a lot of the non-essential spending in Diwali was because of delayed consumption, because the rich have immensely benefited monetarily since the pandemic began. Their savings due to work from home And the wealth buildup due to the stock market rally helped to spur spending by them. But this kind of a spending will eventually peter out. It will not sustain itself for long. The third issue is that such spending will only drive short-term economic growth in India because sustained long-term growth is possible only if additional jobs are created because of fresh investments which are not taking place. The CMI points out that fresh investments in value terms fell by 54.9% in quarter two of this financial year as compared to the same period last year. And if you compare it by the same period in the earlier year before that, then the fall is 55%. The fact of the matter is investments are not taking off and thus long-term growth is not taking off. Finally, if the rich earn and they spend and the others do not, then it's clearly a sign of a K situation, a K-shaped recovery of the Indian economy, which we do not quite call it as a recovery as it is expected to be as per the government's own claims. A recovery which lifts up all sections of society in which all earn and all spend is the need of the hour, and that is yet to emerge on the economic horizon in India. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.